It's a marshmallow that's been vapor sealed. And also, don't eat this. This is not actually a marshmallow. Alright, enough of this nonsense of working on the outside of the shop. Let's get to the inside. Yeah, last time we actually worked on getting the siding up on the exterior, which means now, yeah, it's an enclosed space, and I can work on insulation. Now last time, after I finished working on the exterior walls, I pulled out some of this great stuff and filled in some of the more oddly shaped gaps around the edge of the old construction, where I'm tying into the new interior walls. Remember, the old walls came off. They were, framing was attached to the siding. It's never good. But I want to get these larger gaps filled in, especially in the odd spaces where I didn't quite make contact with the old walls because they weren't framed out in, increments of known lumber. Now we get to work on the inside with something called rock wool. I really like this stuff. The outside walls are 2x4 framing, so we're going to use kind of a stock size of R15 insulation. Rock wool is not fiberglass, so notice we're not masked or extremely safetied up or zippered into a Tyvek suit. Rock wool is not fiberglass, and that's one of the reasons I love it. You can basically cut it with a bread knife, trim it to size. It not only works well as a thermal insulation, it's really good at dampening sound. And again, I'm running power tools in here, so I give the horses and the neighbors a little bit of peace of mind as I'm working on this. It goes by pretty quickly, so it didn't take us that long to get several bats of this put into the walls. And that means that we could move very quickly from this into the next phase, which was actually, getting some wall panels up. Because you can't have walls without, what's the word I'm looking for? Walls? Yeah, but first insulate that space as much as possible. I know I'm going to lose some heat through the roof and through the floor, so wall insulation is going to keep me a lot more comfortable while I'm working inside the shop. Alright, time to build a wall that I'm going to pay for and won't fall down in a flood. Yeah, it's time to put up the interior walls in the shop. If you watched us do the video for the tack room renovation, you know that I am not a fan of OSB. However, in these uncertain times, it is the most affordable solution that is actually a wall product that I think is appropriate for a shop. My options would be drywall, which is a pain in the ass to work with, let's be entirely honest. A product called brown wallboard, which is made of, disused Twinkies and Spam can. I don't know what's in this stuff, but it's amazingly thin, like the ego of a real estate tycoon. Thin. It's not a thing. So my problem is once I put the stuff up, I'm going to be mounting other things to it, like racks and pegboard. And yeah, so then I could go all the way up to full plywood, which would, it just feels like a waste of money. And lumber prices right now, this is January 2021. God, I'm not used to saying that. And lumber prices are stupid right now. Really expensive. So OSB is still the best option. Look, we're going to paint it. We're going to cover it with pictures, wall racks and stuff. So it'll be fine. It'll be fine. I'll live with it. So I've got a load of it in the truck. We're going to do the walls behind me first. That's the exterior. That's the shorter stuff so I can get 4x8. The taller walls, the ones that are actually part of the old exterior wall of the barn before the previous owners built out this set of workspaces and stables and things that we ripped up and turned into a shop. Those are about 9 foot tall, so I'll get a separate load of 4x10 OSB. The trick is that it's January in Oregon, so it rains quite a lot, so I have to pick a day when I can go to the lumber store and come back with the tailgate down and not worry about the wood getting wet. Because I do have an extended bed pickup, but extended bed just means it's 8 feet long, not 10 feet long. I'm not going to cover over the post. If you noticed what we did when we framed this wall out, we used 2x4s, even though the posts are 2x6s. And Susan and I made this decision that the aesthetic of those wood posts, the way that they're aged and weathered, is pretty cool. So the wallboards are going to go in between those. And that does a couple of things. One is it makes the framing a little bit easier, but we also kind of keep a little bit of look, there's already open beams in the top. We're not going to put up a ceiling product because we don't really want another hard surface, and the roof's insulated anyway. I mean, if we go back on that decision later on and we decide to add more roof insulation or whatnot, it'll be easy to fix. But I like this. I like keeping some of the aesthetic of, a 40-ish-year-old barn. And the posts are part of that. So we're just going to make them a thing. Plus, there'll be these nice sturdy things we can stick hooks on or mount tables to. It'll be functional and decorative. Anyway, time to go get some tools and make a mess. Alright, made a lot of sawdust on this project. Time to clean up and then cover some of my more questionable cuts with trim. Yeah, I know we're not dealing with like a fancy living room situation, so I'm not using crown molding. I am using furring strips. Furring strips, when you are not quality enough to grow up to be a 2x4. Look, I made some financial choices on this project while doing it in the pandemic, and one of them was that I was going to use OSB as an interior wall product, and that I knew I was going to have to trim out some of the gaps. And also, the trim works as kind of a kickboard to protect the bottom of the wall against my steel-toed boots, or probably all the counters and nonsense I'm going to push up against the edge. So, yeah, I think the trim's kind of useful here. I probably shouldn't have used furring strips. Why? We'll cover that when we get to the painting video. But I gotta be honest, I think it works for what I'm doing here. I'm trying to keep rodents and dust and crap out of those wall gaps and protect the work so I don't have to redo it. But I still got plenty of work left to do after I clean up, which is why there's going to be another episode of NerdSteading coming fairly soon. Stay tuned for that one. Like, subscribe, go back to the playlist if you just happen on this video and are confused why I'm doing this thing to this weird rectangle. Anyway, take care, have fun, and don't cut your fingers off with the power tools.